The boy never liked or commented on my posts, but he was always the first to view anything I shared. I just figured he was an introverted guy and didn't think much of it. Until 3 months ago, when I saw that fan post an update on his social media. Starting today, I have a master. In the photo, the boy was lying on his side on a beach, clad in swim trunks, his face delicate and handsome, but tattooed on his firm, toned abdomen was a succubus. It was a symbol of a master-servant contract, popular in a niche subculture. I gave it a quick glance and scrolled on, unimpressed. 3 months later, at a company party for my wife, Victoria Blackwood, I saw him again. He was dressed stylishly, chatting and laughing with my wife. I was about to go over and say hello when, as I reached the door of the private room, I heard a low, seductive voice from inside. "Master, how will you punish your little dog tonight?" Victoria Blackwood pinched the flesh of his waist, her fingertips gently tracing the tattoo there. "You little rascal," she said. "You're going to drain me dry one of these days." My heart lurched. I took out my phone, zoomed in on the photo I had seen months ago, and only then did. I realized the succubus tattoo was also engraved with Victoria Blackwood's initials. After a moment of silence, I took out my phone, started a live stream, and pushed open the door. I never knew my wife was so trendy, keeping a man on the side to play at master and servant games. A plot this explosive and juicy just has to be shared with you all. Live. Chapter 1. Panic flashed across Victoria Blackwood's face. I held up my phone, pointing the camera straight at them, and continued. My introduction to the hundreds of thousands of viewers on the stream. Let's get a clearer look, everyone. This is my wife, and her little slave. The live comments instantly started scrolling. Isn't that Miss Blackwood from the Blackwood Group? A live stream of her cheating? Who is this guy? They're playing for high stakes. I panned the camera, focusing on the tattoo on the boy's waist. Yes, quite a unique game you're playing. A succubus tattoo. Is this the proof of your love? Here, let everyone have a look. Ah, the boy cried out, scrambling to hide behind Victoria. Victoria instinctively tried to block the camera, her face a mask of unprecedented embarrassment and fury. "Sincere, stop filming, I can explain," I sneered. "It's gone this far. What's there to explain? Why not just give us a live demonstration and open my eyes to how you two usually play?" The comments section exploded. "Home wreckers should die so shameless, seducing another man's wife. Didn't Victoria Blackwood always maintain a devoted wife facade? Ugh, what a tramp. This cheating couple needs to get lost." The boy hid behind Victoria, his eyes red as he pleaded with me. "Mr. Morgan, please turn off the stream. It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I cut him off. "So this is why you've been silently following me for over half a year. You were spying on my life. What? Not satisfied being the secret lover who can't see the light of day? Are you trying to take my place now?" Exposed on the spot, his face went deathly pale, his eyes welling with tears. Victoria's heart ached for him. She shoved the boy behind her and pointed at me, screaming, "Sincere, you've gone too far. If you have a problem, take it up with me." "What kind of man bullies an intern?" I laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "He's pitiful? He's innocent? Are you blind in your eyes and your heart? You're keeping a man on the side, even bringing him to a company party, and you have the nerve to shout at me? Shut up, I told you. There's nothing between us." Victoria lunged at me, trying to snatch my phone. In the struggle, the phone flew from my hand and crashed to the floor with a loud thud. Seeing the screen go completely black, Victoria finally let out a breath of relief. "Sincere, you're insane." A torrent of rage surged through me. I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face. "Victoria Blackwood, you're a coward and scum." She clutched her face, her expression one of utter disbelief. Nothing happened between us. His zipper was loose, and I was just helping him pull it up. You stormed in here, yelling and making a scene. I haven't even blamed you, and you have the audacity to accuse me his zipper was loose? Loose all the way up to his waist? And you had to use your hands to feel for it. In my fury, I showed her no mercy. The commotion in the private room had attracted the other guests. They peeked in, and upon seeing the scene began to whisper amongst themselves. "What's going on? Are Ms. Blackwood and Mr. Morgan fighting? My God, there's a huge handprint on her face. Don't tell me she was caught cheating. Look at that guy crying his eyes out. It must be true. I never knew Ms. Blackwood was into such wild things." Victoria's face turned shades of green and white. "Let's go home. Don't embarrass yourself here." She grabbed my wrist and dragged me home. The moment we walked through the door, her phone began ringing off the hook. I glanced over. The topic of my live stream was the #1 trending story online. Victoria irritably rejected one call after another, then turned on me. "You are going to issue a statement right now, explaining that this was all a misunderstanding." I refused. "You had the guts to do it, but you're afraid of people talking? What is there to explain?" She was so angry she was hyperventilating. "I told you we're innocent," I shot back. "Then how do you explain the tattoo on his waist? It has your initials on it. Don't tell me that's a coincidence." The argument went nowhere, and Victoria eventually stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Half an hour later, she started a new live stream with the boy. In the video, the boy's eyes were red, and he looked deeply wronged. He explained that the tattoo on his waist was just to cover a childhood scar, not some succubus symbol. Victoria sat beside him, her eyes filled with protective pity, explaining that my mental state was unstable, that I had severe control issues, and that everything that happened tonight was a product of my delusions and slander. Soon, an army of bots flooded the internet, and public opinion began to shift. Netizens started calling me a lunatic and a bully who threw his weight around. I was trembling with rage. I called my lawyer and told him to draw up divorce papers as soon as possible. But no sooner had I hung up than a call came in from Victoria. "Sincere, stop this nonsense. Why are you suddenly filing for divorce? I told you I haven't done anything to wrong you. You can investigate if you don't believe me. But if you keep making a scene, a scorched earth approach won't do either of us any good." A chill ran down my spine. "Are you tapping my phone?" She laughed coldly. "Our two families are deeply intertwined now. The moment you hung up, your own top lawyer informed me. Do you really think, with your parents getting older, that the Morgan family is still a match for me? You'd better behave." A fire of pure fury ignited in my chest, and I hung up on her. I couldn't believe Victoria had become so utterly duplicitous. If that's how it was going to be, then I wouldn't be holding back anymore. Chapter 2. I stayed away from the office for a full week. I went on a revenge spending spree at the capital's most luxurious mall, maxing out every single one of Victoria's supplementary credit cards. From haute couture watches to limited edition supercars, if it was expensive, I bought it. I was only forced to return to the office when my assistant called to say that the South Side project, which we had been working on for 2 years, needed my final approval. It wasn't worth jeopardizing business over a creature like that. My assistant handed me the project file. A new name stood out on the team list: Ethan Vance. "Who is he?" A team member stammered. "Mr. Morgan. He's the new intern." Just as the words left his mouth, a figure approached. The boy was wearing a suit, the top 2 buttons of his shirt undone. He smiled at me. "Mr. Morgan, my name is Ethan Vance. It's a pleasure to work with you." My expression soured. Who hired him? And who had the gall to add his name to my project? "Mr. Morgan, Ms. Blackwood personally arranged for Ethan Vance to be here." The head of HR, hearing the commotion, rushed over, wiping sweat from his brow. Ethan Vance stood to the side, his eyes reddening as he apologized profusely. "Mr. Morgan, please rest assured, I will work hard to live up to Ms. Blackwood's faith in me. The incident with the live stream was truly an accident. There's nothing going on between me and Ms. Blackwood. Please don't misunderstand." I looked at his wide-open collar and the smugness in his eyes, and let out a derisive laugh. Instead of working hard, you're busy learning underhanded tricks. With an attitude like that, how can you possibly be here to work? Or do you think you can seduce women in the office with that face and that getup?" Ethan's face flushed red, then went pale. I didn't give him a chance to respond. I swung my hand and slapped him hard across the face. The sharp smack echoed in the office. I shook my stinging hand, staring coldly at his swollen cheek. "I forgot to hit you in the private room last time. This is to help you remember your place. You know damn well whether that night was an accident or not. You want to be on my project?" In your dreams, I snatched up the project file and strode directly to Victoria's office. I kicked the door open and slammed the file down on her desk. "Who gave you the authority to put Ethan Vance on my project team? There are plenty of people in this company with more skill and experience than him. Are you now so besotted with a toy boy that you've abandoned all your principles?" Victoria's face was ashen from my tirade, but she still tried to force an explanation. "Ethan is an Ivy League graduate. This project is directly related to his major. Letting him join to gain some experience would be a stepping stone that benefits both him and the company." Her shamelessness made me laugh. "How noble of you, you want him to climb the ladder by stepping on me, don't you? Victoria, you really want to have your cake and eat it too. Your little calculations are clicking away loudly." I slapped her again, then leaned in close to her ear and said, "Word by word, let me tell you something. As long as I am here, you two will never succeed. I was the one who put you in the president's chair, and I can just as easily drag you down from it. The Blackwoods were a powerful family." "True, but Victoria, his brothers weren't just sitting on their hands without my years of blood, sweat, and tears. She never would have held on to her presidency so securely. I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on her." I turned, left her office, and immediately summoned the HR director. "Take Ethan Vance's name off the Southside project, and then fire him." Immediately, the HR director looked from me to the president's office, hesitating. I barked, "Just do what I say. I'm the vice president. Can't I even give you a direct order?" Just as I finished speaking, the door to the president's office was pushed open. Victoria stood in the doorway, her voice ice cold. "He's my person. I'd like to see who dares to fire him." Chapter 3. Seeing Victoria emerge, Ethan Vance looked as though he'd found his savior. His eyes immediately reddened as he leaned toward her. "Miss Blackwood, I don't know what I did to offend Mr. Morgan. He's targeting me for some reason." He artfully turned his head, presenting the cheek I had just slapped to Victoria. When Victoria saw the clear imprint of my fingers, her expression darkened instantly. "Sincere, you're physically assaulting people in the office. Have you no sense of decorum? Where was your sense of decorum when you shoved your little lover onto my team? He's an intern who got in through nepotism. Does he even deserve my decorum?" I stared at them, finding the entire situation utterly ridiculous. "Ethan Vance, this is a company, not a stage for your sob story if you want to play. The victim, get out and do it somewhere else." But Victoria held him even tighter. "Ethan is just a recent graduate. For you to be so aggressive is completely unreasonable." Everyone in the office held their breath, not daring to make a sound. Watching her protect Ethan Vance, my heart turned to ice. "I'm putting it out there right now, this company isn't big enough for the both of us. It's him or me, you choose with that." I turned and left the company without a backward glance. My chest felt tight, constricted. I suddenly remembered when I first met Victoria. It was during a fierce business competition. We were rivals. She was the golden girl, born into a wealthy and influential family. And I was the dark horse who had fought my way up with nothing but sheer grit. In the end, I won, but she wasn't angry. Instead, she smiled and extended her hand to me. "Instead of being rivals, why don't we cooperate for a win-win situation?" Perhaps it was the warmth in her smile. On some strange impulse, I agreed. Later, we married, a natural progression that deeply bound our two companies, forming the business empire that was the Blackwood Group today. I thought we would continue like this forever, growing old together, but I had underestimated the human heart. I shook my head, clearing the thoughts, and drove to the exhibition hall where our new product launch was being set up. I threw myself into work, keeping busy until late at night before finally heading home. Surprisingly, Victoria was also back. Sincere, I've already taken Ethan off the project team. He won't appear in front of you and upset you again. I know you're still angry. You can vent however you want as long as it makes you feel better. Her tone was uncharacteristically soft. She moved to hug me, but I stepped back, avoiding her touch. What about him? Is he still at the company? Victoria averted her gaze and didn't answer. I looked at the face before me and suddenly felt like I was looking at a stranger. She was actually using business tactics on me. All for Ethan Vance, you're only doing this because you're afraid your top performer will walk out and tank the company's stock price. Victoria, you are always so selfish, always calculating everything down to the last detail. It's truly disgusting. The gentle expression on Victoria's face froze and my words left her speechless. Think whatever you want, she finally huffed, before turning and walking away. Chapter 4. The public bidding conference for the Southside project proceeded as scheduled, but when I took my seat at the bidding table and looked up at the presentation stage, I froze. Ethan Vance, dressed in a sharp white suit, stood at the podium, smiling and speaking eloquently to the judges, and projected on the large screen behind him was the PowerPoint I had. Spent countless sleepless nights creating the blood rush to my head. I whipped around to confront Victoria, who was sitting beside me. What the hell is going on? She avoided my gaze. Ethan just got back from abroad. He's fluent in several languages and is better at handling on-the-spot questions. It would be more effective to have him do the final presentation. He's back from abroad, so that makes me inferior. I was so angry I started to laugh. I'm also an Ivy League graduate. You think he knows more languages than I do? Victoria, how can you even say such an excuse with a straight face? She turned away, her voice laced with impatience. Well, Ethan is already on stage. Just consider it giving him a chance. Don't cause a scene at such an important event. I let out a cold laugh. I picked up the project proposal and right in front of her, I tore it to shreds, page by page. Let me tell you something. Even if I have to throw this project away, I will never let Ethan Vance reap the benefits of my hard work under. The stunned gazes of everyone present, I walked onto the stage and snatched the microphone from Ethan's hand. Esteemed judges, I am Sincere Morgan, the chief director of this project. I hereby announce that we are withdrawing from this project. As I spoke, I formatted the USB drive. The entire hall erupted in an uproar. Is he crazy? What is Sincere Morgan doing? This is a multi-billion-dollar project. He's just throwing it away. Victoria Blackwood must have done something to betray him. There's no other reason for him to be so drastic. Now this is a show. A rich family's drama playing out at a public bidding. Victoria rushed onto the stage, grabbing me in a fury. Have you lost your mind? I shook off her hand and pointed at her and Ethan. I spent 2 whole years on this project and you just handed over to your lover without a word. You told me he was off my team, but you were clearly planning to act first and force me to swallow this insult in silence in the project proposal just now. My name was at the very end, while Ethan Vance, was listed as the chief director. Victoria, do you really take me for a fool? It's come to this. Let's get a divorce. Victoria's face turned a ghastly shade of pale. For such a small thing, you not only tank the project but also want to divorce me? It seems I've been too lenient with you, letting you become so lawless. In the midst of the argument, security guards surrounded us. Victoria pointed at me and ordered them. Sincere Morgan is disrupting the conference. Get him out of here. I was shoved and pushed out of the venue, a complete mess. I took out my phone and made a call. Notify legal and PR. Initiate the highest level contingency plan. I want Victoria Blackwood's reputation destroyed. I want her to disappear from the capital completely. This time, I would not be merciful. Just as I gave the order, my heart churning with rage, a charming female voice spoke from behind me. Mr. Morgan, I don't suppose you'd be interested in joining forces with me to take down Victoria Blackwood? I spun around. A woman in a haute couture suit stood in the shadows, a playful smile on her beautiful face. It was the president of the Sterling Group, Isabella Sterling, and Victoria Blackwood's arch-rival for the past 5 years. Chapter 5. Take down Victoria Blackwood? I asked. The smile on Isabella Sterling's lips deepened. Yes, make her pay the price for her foolishness. That sounds like an excellent proposal. I extended my hand without hesitation. A pleasure doing business with you, Miss Sterling. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Morgan. Isabella grasped my hand firmly, her palm warm and strong. Making a deal with the devil was far better than being bitten by the dog you raised. The news reached Victoria's ears quickly. She called me. Sincere, you dare to work with Isabella Sterling? Are you insane? On my end of the line, I was looking over the files Isabella had sent me, not even bothering to look up. Are you just figuring that out now? Miss Blackwood, if you have something to say, say it. If not, I'm hanging up. I'm busy. You crazy man, I'm ordering you to stop all cooperation with Isabella Sterling. Immediately, otherwise, don't blame me for forgetting our past. I let out a short, derisive laugh. Our past? Did you think about our past when you wrote Ethan Vance's name into my project proposal? When you had security throw me out of the conference hall for his sake, did you remember any of our past then? Victoria, there's nothing left between us. With that, I hung up the phone. Listening to the dial tone, Victoria was so furious she smashed her phone against the wall. But even then, she still thought I was just throwing a tantrum, trying to scare her. She never imagined I would actually join forces with Isabella. But it wasn't long before her assistant informed her that a major deal the Blackwood Group was about to sign had been suddenly snatched away by Sterling. The client was willing to pay the breach of contract penalty just to terminate their cooperation with Blackwood. That's when Victoria finally panicked. This project was crucial for her. It was the key leverage she needed to solidify her position as president. Without it, she would have no advantage against her ambitious, watchful brothers on the board. She finally realized I wasn't joking. She was scared. Late that night, the doorbell of my suburban apartment rang. Through the security camera, I saw Victoria standing outside. She was holding various gift boxes, all from brands that used to be my favorites. Her face was more haggard than I had ever seen it. I didn't open the door. She just waited outside, standing from midnight until dawn. The next morning, as I prepared to leave, she rushed forward. Sincere, please let me explain. I truly know I was wrong. She tried to grab my hand, but I sidestepped her. I've been thinking a lot these past few days. I was an idiot. I was possessed, blinded by that snake Ethan Vance. Just give me one more chance, please. I swear I'll make him disappear right now. I'll make him go so far away he'll never appear before you again, Sincere. We've been together for so many years. Are we really going to end things like this, all because of an outsider? She was crying, her performance full of genuine emotion. In the past, I might have softened, but now I just felt sick. I looked at her, my eyes cold as ice. It's too late, Victoria. I took the gifts from her hands and one by one threw them into the nearby dumpster. The moment you chose to defend him, we were already over. Now, the only thing left between us is a business rivalry. Victoria's face went deathly white. She couldn't believe I could be so ruthless. Just then, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up slowly by the curb. The door opened, and Isabella Sterling stepped out. She walked straight to my side, wrapped a scarf around my neck, and then possessively shielded me behind her. Miss Blackwood, I believe Sincere has made himself perfectly clear. Clinging to a man who has decided to leave you will only make you look more pathetic. Seeing that I didn't refuse Isabella's touch, Victoria was instantly consumed by a mad jealousy. Her eyes were bloodshot as she pointed at us. Sincere, you bastard, you couldn't even wait for us to break up before finding a replacement. Are you that desperate for a woman? You two cheating dogs, you've been hooking up behind my back for a while, haven't you? And you Isabella Sterling, who the hell do you think you are? You're just picking up the wretch I cast aside." She shrieked, her insults vile and unbearable. Isabella's face hardened. She gave a subtle nod to the bodyguards behind her. 2 guards immediately stepped forward, grabbing Victoria by each arm. "Let go of me. Do you know who I am?" "Sincere, Isabella, you 2 cheating dogs will die a horrible death," a bodyguard clamped. A hand over Victoria's mouth, and she was dragged away, struggling pathetically. Isabella looked up at me, her voice gentle. "Don't worry, I've got everything." Chapter 6. Isabella Sterling moved quickly. Under her direction, several investment firms began to short Blackwood Group's stock. In an instant, negative news about the company's chaotic internal management and the president's sordid private life was everywhere. Blackwood Group's stock price plummeted, losing billions of dollars in value in just a few days. I wasn't idle either. Using the network and resources I had built up at the company, I turned several key department heads. They submitted their resignations one after another, taking their entire teams with them. Several of Blackwood's most important projects ground to a halt. Facing both internal and external crises, Victoria's brothers, who had long been dissatisfied with her, finally seized their opportunity. They allied with several veteran board members and called an emergency board meeting. At the meeting, they listed Victoria's various failures since taking office, as well as the massive losses from the recent stock crash. They strongly demanded her removal from the presidency and a full audit of the company's accounts. Victoria was overwhelmed, begging for help everywhere she went, only to be met with closed doors. The business partners who had once flattered her now avoided her like the plague. She finally began to feel regret. She started calling me frantically, sending a flood of messages. "Sincere, I was wrong. Please, call it off. I'm begging you. If you come back, I'll do anything you want. I'll even get on my knees and beg for your forgiveness. Please forgive me, okay? I really can't live without you." My phone screen was filled with hundreds of unread messages and missed calls from her. I just gave it a cold glance and then blocked her number. Regret? It was too late. A week later, the Blackwood Group held an extraordinary general meeting to vote on the motion for her removal. As the second largest shareholder, I was naturally in attendance. When Victoria saw me, it was like a drowning person spotting a lifeline. Hope flared in her eyes. She thought that in the end, I would remember our past and pull her back from the brink at the last moment. She was so naive. When the voting began, all eyes turned to me. I agreed to the motion to remove Victoria Blackwood from the position of president. Furthermore, I proposed Mr. Julian Blackwood as the new president. As my words fell, the color drained from Victoria's face, leaving it a deathly gray. She rushed up to me, grabbing my arm with a death grip. "How can you be so heartless? All our years of marriage, don't they mean anything to you? Victoria, you brought all of this on yourself. Don't touch me. I find you filthy." I shook off her hand and walked away without looking back. Just as Victoria was being ousted and her life was falling apart, her helpless little dog, Ethan Vance, finally showed his true colors. Seeing that his patron was falling from power, he immediately began to secretly contact new prospects, preparing to transfer the properties and cash Victoria had given him, and then disappear with the money. He thought he was being discreet. He had no idea that his every move was under my surveillance. My assistant handed me a file. Inside were intimate photos of Ethan Vance with other wealthy women, along with complete evidence of his plan to transfer assets. "Send this little surprise to our great romantic, Ms. Blackwood. I'd love to see the look on her face when she finds out her precious male slave is this kind of creature." Chapter 7. The file soon reached Victoria's hands. In the photos, Ethan Vance had his arm around a middle-aged woman, looking incredibly intimate. In the chat logs, he called her master, with even more affection than he had ever shown Victoria. Victoria's expression grew darker and darker. The veins on the hand holding the photos bulged. She was the biggest joke of all. That night she stormed into the villa she had bought for Ethan Vance. As soon as she entered, she saw him frantically packing his bags. He jumped when he saw her, then immediately rushed forward, his eyes brimming with tears. "Master, you're finally here. I was so scared I heard the company was in trouble. I wanted to sell all these things to get money to help you, but they all bullied me." He was still acting. In the past, Victoria would have been overwhelmed with pity, but now she just stared at him, her eyes as cold as ice. She raised the photos and slapped them across his face. "Help me, or help yourself run away with my money." When Ethan saw the photos, his face went white. He dropped to his knees and hugged her legs. "Master, no, please. Let me explain. They forced me. The only person I love is you." He cried until his eyes were red, trying once again to win her sympathy. But this time, Victoria did not soften. "Don't call me master. It's filthy." She kicked him away and made a phone call. Soon, several bodyguards entered the room. "Strip him of everything he has on him, then throw him out." "Master, no, please, I was wrong." Victoria ignored Ethan. His cries, took back all the properties and luxury cars she had given him, and froze all his bank cards. Overnight, Ethan Vance fell from the clouds into the mud, beaten back to his original state. After dealing with Ethan, Victoria was consumed by regret. She came to my apartment building again. This time, she didn't ring the doorbell. She knelt directly at the entrance. In the pouring rain, she let the water soak her hair and clothes, not caring at all. She just knelt there, looking up at the window of my apartment. She began to recount our shared past, from our first meeting to the hardships of building our business together, from our wedding vows to the warm moments of our daily life. She repeated these memories over and over, trying to use sentiment to soften me. "Sincere, you said you loved watching me play the piano. I'll play for you every day from now on. You said you wanted to travel the world. I'll go with you. We can leave right now. Please, just give me one more chance. Can we go back to how things were?" Inside, I watched it all from behind a crack in the curtains. I felt nothing. A heart doesn't grow cold in a day. Once enough disappointment has accumulated, no amount of warmth can ever bring it back. Besides, her remorse wasn't genuine. I didn't go out. I just called Isabella. There's a dog barking downstairs. It's disturbing my peace. Half an hour later, Isabella's car pulled up. She held an umbrella as she walked up to Victoria. "Miss Blackwood, I believe Sincere's intentions are already quite clear. Leave with some dignity." Victoria looked up, her eyes bloodshot, staring at Isabella. "This is between him and me. It's none of your business." Isabella looked down at her, her tone indifferent. "Now his business is my business." She wasted no more words, simply instructing her bodyguards to lift Victoria from the ground, shove her into a car, and drive her out of my sight. To make Victoria give up completely, the very next day, with Isabella's help, I moved into her villa on the mountainside. The security was tight. Victoria would never be able to find me there again. On the first night in my new home, Isabella personally cooked dinner for me. She could see I was in low spirits and placed some food on my plate. "Don't let unworthy people affect your mood. Let the past be the past." Her voice had a reassuring quality. I looked at her, and the gloom in my heart seemed to lift. Perhaps leaving the wrong person was just to make way for meeting the right one. Chapter 8. I have never been a merciful person. To deal with someone like Ethan Vance, you have to crush him completely, grind him into the dirt so he can never get back up. I had the private investigator Isabella hired dig up everything on him. Then, I had a top gossip blogger publish it all. The tattoo that supposedly covered a childhood scar was a complete fabrication. That succubus mark was a slave's brand he had willingly gotten at a depraved party hosted by a rich older woman, just to please his benefactor. The article also included scandalous large-format photos of him at various parties along with chat logs with multiple married wealthy women. He called every single one of them master. He had replayed his master-servant script countless times. And Victoria Blackwood was simply the most foolish of his many masters. The entire internet exploded. Holy crap, this guy is a master-level player. The final boss of all gigs. Is he a top-tier public toilet? Anyone can use him? I feel bad for Victoria Blackwood for a second. Thought she was a queen bee. Turns out she was just picking up someone else's leftovers. The green hat she's wearing is so bright it's practically reflective. The wealthy women who had been involved with him now rushed to distance themselves, terrified of being caught in the crossfire. They painted Ethan as a materialistic, conniving leech, absolving themselves of all blame. Suddenly, Ethan Vance was a social pariah, scorned by everyone. Everywhere he went, he was pointed at, whispered about, and hounded by reporters and angry netizens. One jilted husband, whose family he had helped destroy, even confronted him on the street, screaming insults and beating him bloody. Victoria's life wasn't any better. She became the capital's biggest laughingstock, a walking symbol of being cuckolded. The immense humiliation and blow to her pride nearly drove her to a mental breakdown. And Ethan Vance, pushed to the brink, directed all his hatred at me. He believed I had ruined his life. One day, as I was leaving the Sterling Group headquarters and heading to my car, a figure in a mask and hat suddenly lunged out from a corner. In his hand was a bottle filled with an unknown liquid. "Sincere Morgan, you ruined everything for me, go to hell." It was Ethan's voice. He twisted the cap off and threw the contents at my face. Chapter 9. My pupils contracted. I instinctively tried to dodge, but it was too late. In that split second, the two bodyguards Isabella had assigned to me sprang into action. One shielded me with his body while the other kicked Ethan away. The bottle fell to the ground, the pavement hissing and sizzling where the liquid spilled. The acrid smell of sulfuric acid filled the air. A wave of fear washed over me. Isabella had insisted on these bodyguards, worried for my safety. I never thought they'd actually be needed. Ethan was pinned to the ground by the guards, still screaming and struggling. Ultimately, he was arrested on the spot for attempted assault. With witnesses and physical evidence, he would face the full penalty of the law. That evening, I sat on the sofa watching the news report. Ethan, handcuffed and disheveled, was still screaming curses at me for the camera, looking like a complete madman. The reporter spoke in a regretful tone about a bright Ivy League graduate who, with a promising future ahead of him, took one wrong step and ended up destroying his life. I picked up the remote and changed the channel. The pitiable often have hateful qualities. He got what he deserved. With all the troublemakers dealt with, I poured all my energy into my career. Using the core resources and network I had brought with me from Blackwood, I deeply integrated them with the Sterling Group. We joined forces, a true power couple, and established a brand new company. We named it the Morgan Sterling Group, from the Morgan in my name and the Sterling in hers. At the celebratory banquet for the new group's founding, I stood in the spotlight, dressed in a white suit. As the new chairman, I delivered my inaugural speech. At the end of my speech, my gaze fell upon Isabella in the audience. Here, the person I want to thank the most is Ms. Isabella Sterling. I want to thank her for her unwavering support and companionship. Without her, there would be no Morgan Sterling Group, and I would not be standing here today. The hall erupted in thunderous applause. Isabella smiled at me, her eyes filled with tenderness. But just then, a commotion broke out at the entrance of the banquet hall. "Let me in. I want to see Sincere Morgan. I'm his wife." A familiar, hoarse voice was screaming hysterically. Security guards were trying to remove a disheveled woman. It was Victoria Blackwood. Chapter 10. She was so thin she was almost unrecognizable. Her hair was dry and yellowed, and she reeked of alcohol. There was no trace of the former president of the Blackwood Group. The media's camera flashes immediately turned on her. capturing her pathetic state. Victoria broke free from the guards and ran towards the stage like a madwoman, screaming at me. Sincere, I know I was wrong. Please come back, I can't live without you. Her eyes were bloodshot, filled with regret and despair. You're mine. You can only be mine. How could you be with someone else? She reached out, trying to grab me. Isabella's expression hardened. She quickly stepped in front of me, completely shielding me with her body and blocking Victoria from my sight. Don't look, she whispered in my ear. Get her out of here. And don't ever let something like that near Mr. Morgan again. The guards quickly dragged Victoria away. The farce was over. After the banquet, Isabella didn't take me home. She drove me to the seaside. The night was gentle, the sea breeze salty. We walked barefoot on the soft sand. The moonlight stretched our shadows long. She suddenly stopped, turned, and looked at me seriously. Then she took a velvet box from her pocket. Inside was an exquisitely designed diamond ring, sparkling brightly in the moonlight. My heart skipped a beat. I call this ring Guardian. I wasn't there for you in the past, and you suffered so much. Let's leave the past behind us. From now on, let me be the one to love you and protect you. She looked up, her gaze fiery and intense. Sincere, will you marry me? The sea breeze tousled my hair and brought a flush to my eyes. But this time, they were tears of happiness. I looked into her sincere eyes at the ring made just for me, and I smiled, nodding emphatically. She slowly slipped the ring onto my ring finger. It was a perfect fit. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her. The salty sea breeze carried a hint of sweetness. Chapter 11. My wedding to Isabella was held at the most luxurious hotel in the capital. Every influential figure in the city was there, and all the major media outlets vied to cover the event. I wore a suit tailor made by one of the world's top designers, and with Isabella on my arm, I walked down an aisle strewn with rose petals. She wore a pure white wedding gown, and when she looked at me, her eyes were so tender they could melt your heart. In front of all our witnesses, we exchanged rings and made a vow for a lifetime together. Married life was even sweeter than I could have imagined. Isabella loved me to her very core. She remembered all my likes and dislikes and indulged all my moods. What moved me most was what happened the day after the wedding. She had her lawyer deliver a document. It was an asset transfer agreement. She was transferring all of her personal property, real estate, and company shares into my name. I stared at her in astonishment. She just smiled and hugged me. Silly, I'm already yours. Of course my money is yours too. I just want you to know that no matter what happens, I will always be your strongest support. She gave me the security I had always craved, along with her unconditional love and trust. Time is the best filter. Some people, some events gradually fade into obscurity. Occasionally, I would see snippets of news about Victoria. She had completely lost her mind. Suffering from a mental breakdown, she wandered the streets day in and day out, drowning her sorrows in alcohol. As for Ethan Vance, I heard that after he was released from prison, his life became even more miserable. With a criminal record and a ruined reputation, he couldn't find any legitimate work. To survive, he started taking jobs at clubs, but he was soon beaten up, his legs broken, and was reduced to surviving by picking through trash. One day, as Isabella and I were driving through an old part of the city, I unintentionally witnessed a pathetic scene. On a street corner, Victoria was wrestling on the ground with a man over half a piece of moldy bread. That man was Ethan Vance. Their faces were contorted with rage, tearing at each other like two mad dogs. Isabella saw it too. She instinctively started to raise the car window to shield my view, but I gently pressed her hand down. I calmly watched the two grotesque figures outside, my heart a placid lake of indifference. Their lives had long since ceased to have anything to do with mine. "Roll up the window," I said to Isabella. She nodded and raised the window, completely shutting out the chaos outside. I turned my head, gave Isabella a soft kiss, and said with a smile, "Let's go home."